Here we go, guys. Facecheck, week 2 in the books. LCS production changes, some surprises in the standings, and a couple teams still looking for their first win, and it doesn't look like they can punch their way out of a paper bag. All right, week 2 in the books. We heard their big surprises. One thing I wanted to touch on before we hop in, big video came out by Thorin, and it was a huge talking point all across Twitter at the beginning of the season. LCS production, the way that things were going, the direction that the shows were going, I think that there was a lot more direction in the way that Friday Night League wanted to go. I think they fixed a lot of the bugs. Scoreboard still, but I think a lot of the technical aspect and the polish came back, while again, remember, still doing a remote broadcast. But guys, what were your thoughts on the production as we kicked off week 2? And Thorin video.
So bad. It's just so bad. It's so crazy that they didn't make any real improvements. It felt like the overlays is still the same. There's still the same shit overlay. There's still these random blackouts and stuff during draft. I don't know if you guys have seen them, where you'll just be in the draft and then the whole screen will just go black for like 10 seconds or something, and you'll just be like, wait, well, what the fuck is going on? And then you just jump into you just jump into the draft again. I don't know. It's super weird.
Is it me, or was the Captain Flowers thing this week or last week? Because the days are blending. Yeah, that was probably the biggest failure of production I've seen from LCS.
Wait, that was this week, right? That was Friday?
Yeah, that was Friday.
Oh my god, that was so cringy. It was just so hard to watch. What the fuck? It just feels so scuffed compared to any other professional broadcast you've seen.
Oh.
Yeah, I had some chats with some folks, and it's I think they heard the feedback, but to enact that so quickly will take some time. I think that just takes time. And also, they did make adjustments. For me, moving Sushi Dragon's performance to the end and having Sushi Dragon and Mark Z at the end, I thought was hilarious. And by having it at the end, you can either opt into watching this or not. And I personally thought it was super funny to have Mark just kind of sit there and be Mark, kind of what's going on? This is crazy, and just observing and making comments and along for the ride at the end. It's just adding something different that's there. The way that Sushi Dragon
it's not the right type of different, in my opinion. So I went to Aphelios' stream, and she was doing the same thing.
Yeah,
and it literally looked the same as the LCS broadcast, and I feel like that's supposed to be what you get when you go to Aphelios' stream. It's just them having a good time. It's supposed to be kind of scuffed. It's one person put it on the show. That's what you expect. And then you see that from LCS, and it's wait, this is the same, this is the same fucking event or the same league that sells out arenas. This is the same league that I competed at Madison Square Garden for. How is this how is this what it's devolved into? It just seems so troll to me. I don't know.
LCS, the vibe has always been traditional sports, right? We're Sports Center, we're very tied up, and the whole Sushi Dragon thing is just not the right fit. And Thorin said it in his video too, when he talked about the Mark Z doing silver scrapes into that best of 5 one time. And I thought of it as funny, but when Thorin phrased it like that, I'm like, you know what? That was actually so out of place. And this Sushi Dragon thing is also so out of place. It feels how do you do, fellow kids? It's oh, look at those LEC, those cool cats, doing their stuff. We can be cool, we can be hip too. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't even think that's I personally, I guess people like it for LEC. I don't even like that much for LEC either. I'll be honest. All those the
music video that came out,
the raps or whatever, or the fucking random music video where they're all dancing like that. I think that is kind of cringe over there too. I don't know why that's. Yeah, I just don't think that's what's supposed to be the professional league. That's supposed to be side content that you put on your YouTube channel or something. In my opinion.
Can be. I don't want to argue too much about if it's cringe or not, but it's in line with the brand of LEC and what they're trying to portray. And then for the Sushi Dragon thing, the cringe thing aside, it's not in line with the brand that LCS is trying to portray. So that's my biggest problem with it, not if it's cringe or not.
So I think,
yeah, I mean, I guess I just care if it's cringe or not, because I've said this before. It was kind of with the Jax Anderson thing. The way that I view esports is I want to be proud of it. I want to be able to show it to somebody and be hey, this is what I'm about. This is stuff that I really enjoy. This is stuff that I love. So when it's super over the top cringy for me, it just makes me kind of be it kind of makes me just embarrassed to be somebody who puts so much effort into the scene or whatever.
So I think last week and even this week we did a good job identifying what's wrong with it, because I think the pinpoint that LCS is having is that they want Friday Night League to be fun and memey and all that stuff, but have pre-prepared products to capitalize on while still having a professional, desk and broadcast type thing. How do you fix that? Because my big example from traditional sports is like the inside the NBA TNT desk. It's with Ernie, it's with Shaq, it's with Charles Barkley, it's Kenny the Jet, and Ernie Johnson. Like that to me is like the looser version of the desk. Still funny, they're still goofy, they have their moments. Shaq run around on the desk. How do you capture that on League?
If you want Friday Night League to be different, I would say you have a Budweiser, like you have an alcohol sponsor. Like have beers out there, get people to drink, and also incorporate streamers and incorporate personalities that are part of LCS, like atmosphere or ecosystem, way more into the broadcast. Like I think
this is
excluding
an
myself,
TV thing.
I think Dom would be really good for it. I think Aubrey, like coming back for it, would be really good for it. I think LS would be really good for it. Like I don't even personally like LS, but I think people like Dom, LS, like Aubrey, like that have their own take on things and that are different from the such like well suited up LCS like traditional sport vibe would be perfect for Friday night if that's what you're really going for.
I think the weird thing is that like a lot of the time I think they're afraid to use like me LS, etc., because we say like more harsh takes on our streams or whatever. But the thing is, like, I've done how many fucking LCS interviews before? More than I can fucking count. Like, I know how to fucking clean it up for a broadcast. I'm not gonna be sitting up there and be like, I'm not gonna just get up there and be like dicks. Like, I'm not gonna fucking just go like ham like on the fucking broadcast, right? Like, I'm just gonna like sit there and I'm just gonna be like a normal fucking person. Like, I'll say my points. If I fucking disagree with something, I'm just gonna like phrase it in a way. I'll be like, yeah, so like I think this draft was problematic because of this, and that. I'm not like some just retarded person that has no idea of like my audience. Obviously, when I'm on my stream, I'm gonna be like more like hardcore and try to like get a reaction out of my chat, etc. And I'm gonna phrase things in a way that I think is appropriate for that atmosphere. But I think that that's like kind of just lost. And Ellis and I like even did a segment for Riot where we limited cursing, we did all that stuff, and it went well anyway. Yeah, we did a mock draft, so I think it's just kind of weird that they just don't really want to associate with us. But I understand that like I'm viewed as like a toxic person in the community, right? So
if they really disliked you, and if they really didn't want you to be part of the broadcast, they could have just banned your LPP shit. They could have like banned your co-stream. Like they're obviously fine with you boosting numbers, and they're obviously fine with you like co-streaming and stuff. Just take the next step and have you be part of the broadcast on Friday. Like it's so simple. It's like one step away.
Maybe. I'm thinking about the way that would work, and I don't think I think they're trying to do their own thing. That's what I think they're doing, and clearly
why do they don't need to be their own thing though. Like streamers are a huge part of LCS. Like co-streaming is such a big part of LCS. Why do they need to be their own thing? They want Friday night to be fun. They want Friday night to be different. They're just literally staring at you. Like Dom is like 30 minutes away.
I think the weird thing is about Friday Night League was the whole complaint was that it was like kind of like a clown show, like even what Doublelift tweeted was like, this is just some clowny shit. Like the games are clowny, and then like afterwards it's like the Sushi Dragon thing. And the beginning of it, I was expecting like, okay, maybe they're gonna tighten up and be more professional. But even when you talk about like shoring up the production, which like the production's just been bad technically, which is a completely different thing. Like dragons are not updating, kills are not updating, the overlay looks like shit. There's random blackouts. Kobe can't, or like we can't hear Kobe, but Flowers can. So the broadcast is awkward and shit. Like there's all that stuff, right? But that's like technical stuff where you just have to give them time. I understand that. What I don't understand is when they have their like criticism where it's like, okay, it's like too ridiculous. Let's hone it back a little bit. And the first segment they show in Friday Night League is like Crumbs in some awkward like Wizards hat being Prophet Crumbs, like doing some like joking prediction bullshit where it just seems super. It's like that is literally what everyone just said they didn't want, and then they just do that first thing. It was just so weird. It's so weird. It's like, wait, you just don't listen at all.
And I also know, like, I know Crumbs. Like, I play Clash with him, and I know him in person. Like, he's funny. Like, he can do stuff like that, but in a better way. Yeah. And there's also timing for that. Like, him doing it in that segment just seemed so weird. Like if they showed like all his like perfect picks and like why he feels like this is gonna be the next pick, and he's not even part of like the next picks coming in. So Mark Z is talking about, oh, Crumbs would have picked CLG. Like actually have Crumbs be part of that. Like why is he just randomly sending in a video and that's it for the day? It's everything is just so weird, and it's just like it's not. It doesn't have to be that way. If they adjust it a little bit, like things could be so much better, but they're not taking that final step for things.
I'm interested in and hopeful that it'll change once people get in place, but I think you guys bring up a ton of really good points in terms of prep. Last thing I want to touch on from a technical aspect before we hop into matches and teams is that LCS on the track of being profitable. Commissioner Chris Greeley sat down with the media outlet saying LCS on track to finally making money. You know, so a lot of the time people have said, "Oh, esports is just it's just marketing. It's extended marketing, all that stuff." Well, finally LCS, I guess 7 years, season 3 is when the LCS was created, now on track to make money for the first time. So that's a big step. Does that change the way that you look at the league or change the way that they are doing things, including maybe some of these weird sponsored segments?
And I think sponsor segment always don't have to be awkward, but in terms of like the profitability thing, that's fucking amazing. When I hear numbers about player salary and also numbers about how much it costs to run the LCS studio for a day, it is fucking unreal that they're being profitable. Like someone up there is like making really smart choices, at least in terms of financial side. So props to LCS.
Yeah, I think it's finally like them just opening, because I don't think that people didn't want to sponsor the LCS before. It just felt like Riot just didn't want sponsors for the first couple years because all these teams had sponsors, and I knew how much how much money would come in from sponsorships from like for like our team specifically, and it's like, damn, we're just one part of the LCS. Our main attraction as a team was LCS, right? So if we're making if our organization is making like 150K, 200K a month from sponsors, why is LCS not making like $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a month from sponsors? I mean, their numbers are insane, right? Like when you compare it to other normally just what it costs for a sponsor to support a stream of that viewership for like a day, it's big fucking money. When Ninja was to play like Apex, when Apex came out, the rumor was that like for one day of streaming, it was like 500K to $1 million for just one day of streaming with his viewership. It was like about 100K, 150K, something like that. So if they're getting that much viewership, and they're getting like, if you include YouTube numbers, everything, they're getting like roughly 200K for the LCS, and it's 3 nights a week. Like, yeah, you should be getting fucking sponsors. Like, I know how much like I get from sponsors. Like, you guys have a stream that's like 30, 40 times as big as mine. You should be making 40 times the money easily, if not more, because the way that sponsorship scale is like once you start pulling like the bigger numbers, like you just like it just starts, because you're at the top.
Exponential, yeah. Yeah,
it's just exponential growth, and you just become like one of the main people that sponsors will go to, because instead of having to reach out to like 40 5K Andes, you can just reach out to like 200K Andy, you know?
I love how he uses the word Andy still in this shit. And also there's the scarcity thing, right? There can be like 20 DOMs, but there's only one LCS.
Yeah, true.
Sorry, Dom. All right. Well, growth in the LCS, growth in the league itself, and boding well for esports. I guess other esports and other game titles can possibly look to the LCS, at least on that front, for monetization, and means good for our league. One team not doing good. It's our French Blues, also known as Teal, also known as Immortals, looking like not very good. They have had a rough start. Immortals off to a rough start. With their 2 EU imports, will it get better? I do not think so. So as Aika, they have not been able to make their magic work. Boys, what do you think? Because they are out of ideas. And I'm tired of this. That was really bad.
I thought that was actually amazing. I normally hate your jokes, but that was one of the best you've done.
Accents, voice acting. It's what I do. Yeah. Anyone looking for a French, Asian American accent, let me know. What was that?
I don't know, man. This team, oh god, this team is so bad. It's like disgustingly. It's like atrociously bad that you feel offended after you watch them. You're like, really? This is what you guys are bringing to LCS? Like, it makes like a mockery of the league. It makes me wish that there was like some fucking way to like get them out of here, like a relegation tournament, something like that. But like, I just hate the way they play. They literally look like a fucking amateur team. Like, it's pathetic.
The funniest part is everyone's talking about where's Xmithy. Holy shit, why did they bench Xmithy? I actually think Potluck's doing pretty decent.
Potluck's done good.
Xmithy has not been a good fit for Immortals. Like, we talk about this over and over again. Immortals doesn't have firepower, and Xmithy works best when he has strong lanes to play off of. Like, he was never a good fit for Immortals to start with.
Wait,
so
I have a really hot take here. It's almost like every jungler works best with strong lanes to play with. I don't know one jungler that it's like, give me like better lanes and I'm gonna play worse. Like, that's just kind of how the game feels. Like, yeah.
It's better when you have better jungler or better laners for sure, but for players like that are closer to, let's say, like Closer or old Dardoch style, where they want to be more resource heavy, it is maybe a little bit easier on them when they have players that are more willing to just play with them and play to them. And yeah, I think like Xmithy's style was just never good for Immortals, and Potluck's a better fit. And I don't get why everyone's so obsessing over like why is Xmithy playing in Academy, because I don't even think that's the biggest problem.
Because Potluck wasn't able to steal the Baron. Like it's an unfair comparison. I think Potluck, you're right. Potluck has played well.
I mean, I understand what they're trying to do. They have no firepower, so they're like, oh, this jungler gives us some firepower, right? Like, maybe he can play. I mean, we've seen him play Lee Sin, we've seen him play Graves. Like, maybe they just want more like mechanical, like strong junglers that have more outplay potential to be able to do something. Because look, like Ica literally looks like he's just hanging on to a job. That's how it looks when you watch Ica play. It never looks like he's doing anything that's like, oh shit, he's trying to fucking take that win. Like he's getting it, bro. That's his win, and he's no, fuck no. He's just sitting there. He's just fucking CSing. He's like, oh look, it wasn't my fault, guys. Yeah, nothing I can do. It's like everyone's just playing not to lose on that team. They're literally playing to not lose their jobs instead of actually playing to fucking be one of like playing to be like a playoff team, playing to fucking win. At least when you watch other teams like go out, like obviously Dignitas is fucking bad, right? But at least it looks like they're fucking trying. And it's just like, yeah, they're trying and the results are bad, so probably something needs to happen eventually. But like you see them at least try to, like they're putting up a fight, right? When they play against FlyQuest, they try to put up a fight. IMT is literally, they're just a standard French team waving the fucking white flag. Like, yep, nope, guys, like we just surrender everything. We'll pick all early game and surrender the early game. Like they just don't give a fuck, man. Like this team is just pathetic.
Yeah. You can be really outclassed, like the Golden Guardians C9 situation, and Golden Guardians are constantly looking for shit and ways to get back into the game. 100% on the Immortals not doing jack shit. Like Immortals games are incredibly boring to watch.
What do we think about Gate and Altec? Like, do either one of them stay? Can you just swap in one with the other with Apollo and Hakaho sitting behind them?
I think I don't understand the point. Like, what does Altec and Gate do that Apollo Hakaho doesn't? What is the thing that they have over them? Obviously, there's something in Immortals' eyes because those are the ones that are starting. When I saw Apollo Hakaho, I'm like, oh, like these guys are at least solid. Like Apollo is literally probably the best player on the team. It looked like, he was just he was getting like pentakills and shit. It's like I guess he's the hero. Obviously, you don't want a role player like Apollo being like the fucking hero, but it's not like Altec's a carry. Altec just sits there and tries not to lose. It's like you need someone that's going to do something.
I normally don't like switching up things and like listening to Twitch chat, but Twitch chat linked a tweet from Coops, so he's the old coach from Immortals, and he's basically subtweeting the fuck out of the coaches. You should open it, Daniel. Show the screen.
Right. We're on it. Nothing like listening to Coops, who had so much success in NA, now he's over in EU, right? All right, just double checking.
We don't have to take his word directly for it, but this is someone that worked into org.
I know he was. So just for context, Coops was working for Optic at the time, right? It was Optic, and before they got bought by Immortals, and then a lot of the structure is still there. Even though Immortals bought the team, the Immortals group bought the team, a lot of the structure is still there. I think one thing that you can say that is a positive for Optic / Immortals is that they've been consistent. You're consistent. You have some consistency at the top. Zabatin's been there. Keaton, has been there for a while.
That's a fucking problem. It's like, okay, so we've had shit results for a long time, and the same people have kept their jobs. It's like, wait, that just means your org is dog shit. That's all that means.
So going into that, Coob saying it's mental. They still have jobs. Every split, I was there. The mental of the team would get boomed because of them. No one wants to play for such awful people, and I feel really bad for any player stuck in that shit show. I think it's always easy to take shots like that in the back end. I don't know, awful people, but
So one thing I heard differently. So I know some of the players on Optic/Immortals, and they said Zabutein was like a big part of like keeping the mental together, and like Zabutein made the team function. Like that team, when they had Crown Meteos and even beyond that, like they had a lot of friction, and I heard good things from the players regarding Zabutein. So this is directly contrasting what I heard from the players on Immortals.
yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that might also have to do, like, it's hard to say because I don't think that a lot of the players on Immortals would have jobs if not for Zabutein. Like, I really don't think that many LCS teams were looking at Ica where they're like, we need this fucking guy in LCS. Like, if this guy, like, it's him, like, if shit, like, I don't even know if we should take Jensen or Ica. Like, which one is it? I don't think that was a decision for people. So,
But if they're going to show, like, one side of the story coming from Coops speaking very negatively about Immortals, I at least want to put out there something I heard that was directly contrasting what he's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think the proof is in the pudding, so to speak, where it's like, okay, so if your results are terrible every single split, like last split was an overperform. I stated this last time, right? Like everyone was saying that I was
on
a
the
fucking
Immortals train, and I was all about it. And you very clearly stated Immortals is overperforming, and it was way crazy.
So 8th place is an overperformance. When you put together a roster so bad that 8th is an overperformance, like that means that there is some problem with your organization. Like, and then the next split, you're just they look like they're going to be the 10th place team. We're 2 weeks in. Obviously, things can change, but they actually just look like they're hopeless. And like, if you read like the community perception of them, just the way they play, it doesn't seem like there's any reason to believe that they're going to get better. Like when they play other shit teams, they get dicked by shit teams. So if you're getting dicked by shit teams, what's going to happen when they start having to play like, hey, what do we have a Cloud9 Immortals game coming up? We haven't had that one yet, have we?
Yeah.
Oh,
what did they play so far? They played.
Yeah, they played CLG,
Thieves,
lost to CLG. They played 100 Thieves, lost to 100 Thieves. Who do they play the day before?
They lost to Fly. They lost to TSM.
Yeah, they lost to TSM. TSM is like a 6th place team. So they haven't even played EG, TL, and C9 yet. So you're telling me that this team that went 0-4 against the bottom half is just going to beat one of these top 4 teams?
FlyQuest and TSM are the other 2 other teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, gonna be a yikes.
No, they just look like they have the other thing is just the coordination seems so like it seems worse than solo queue or something. Like I don't know if you saw like the 4-man dive they attempted in this last game versus 100 Thieves, where it's like Soaz is just sitting there, just getting 3-man dove, and he gets counterpicked, right? Like obviously he picks Aatrox early, enemy team picks Renekton, which makes sense, right? Because they tried the other way versus 100 Thieves. Last split they gave Soaz a Camille game against Sunday's Aatrox, and Sunday just solo killed him like 3 times in the lane and just solo won the game. So you can't give him a counterpick versus Sunday. He's just not good enough to beat Sunday in like a counterpick matchup. So you just try to pick like safe top laner and just hope he doesn't get fucked. But if that's your strategy, you have to coordinate your dives bot. Their dives bot were horrible. It's like, are you guys not looking at the waves? Like, yeah, like you time the wave. Anyone in LCS should be able to know how to fucking dive on a wave. You time the wave. The laners have to control when the wave crashes into the turret. If you're the ones with the push, you're the ones that control when it crashes. You wait for your lane to be there. When you have your 2 people behind the turret, you crash the wave, you dive them, you kill them, 2 kills. Whole enemy team is topside. Like that should theoretically be a good play. The fact they can't execute a basic 4-man dive is just like these players are just not LCS caliber. They're not even academy caliber at that point. You should be able to do that based off solo queue.
That's like a season 4 concept. Like it's something people were doing since season 4. It's been 6 years since then, and yeah, kind of a yikes if you can't do that.
Yep. Yeah, it's really sad. I mean, there's nothing but flame you can do for this team. There's no hope. Like, I don't know. I just hope that you just the way that I see it is just the organization should take the most blame, and then after that, the tenured players should take the blame, and then after that, you can look at like, you know, the new players. Like, I don't want to see Pot like getting shit on too hard for this. I don't think he's great or anything, but you can't really tell. Like when you're put into this situation, this is just a dumpster fire.
Yeah. So. Not big on the prospects moving forward for Immortals, as you guys can tell. But another team that has been struggling a ton here, and we brought them up, is our friends over at Dignitas that at least have been in a couple games, but then come back and dig their own grave. That last one there, I think, this week, actually, yesterday's match, I thought was good. It was the back and forth affair with, was it CLG? Who did they play?
FlyQuest.
Yeah, against FlyQuest.
They played FlyQuest and CLG.
Yeah, Aframu has been, found a little bit of form here on, was it Blitz and on Bard, but Viper is just getting dunked. Absolutely dunked. I think I saw my favorite tweet from it was, Viper, please just let the rest of your team carry you this time. And unfortunately, I think, the hype of playing against Solo, who was basically took his job on FlyQuest, he just kept forcing the issue and created such a big lead or such a big deficit that Dignitas, even though the rest of the map was doing okay, it couldn't overcome.
I thought it was pretty crazy that he died to the, or he didn't die, but he lost his flash and he lost complete lane control off the level 2 Trundle gank from Santorin, the red to top Trundle gank from Santorin. That Santorin's somehow done this gank like 7 times in the LCS and it works every time. I don't know how no one does any scouting or ever sees it coming, but you'd think that especially if your jungler did that so many times to your lane, you'd at least think about it. But he just had to burn his flash and then his lane, he just had no control after that for the rest of the game. So, I mean, it was just a little bit weird.
Dude, the hilarious thing about Dignitas is before the season started, they have their video series called Odyssey, and they talked about
they have a video series?
Yes.
I've never seen it. I haven't even heard it.
I try to watch, but they talked about how they have 10 LCS viable players, and they can swap the roster in and out, and it's a very big strength for them. They're currently 0-4 in LCS and 1-3 in Academy. So I think it's a stretch to say they even have 10 Academy viable players. So kind of a yikes for them. And also, your picks have been so weird, and the players that were playing well last split also aren't playing well. I thought Froggen was a pretty decent mid last split. I thought Johnson was a pretty decent AD carry last split. Neither has shown up that much. Johnson with the Callista game I thought was special, but other than that, it's been pretty mediocre. And Froggen's Ori was one of his go-to. Ori Victor, he's doing badly on the champion he's normally very, very solid on. So this team also a really big mystery for me.
I was going to say, doesn't Johnson get a pass here? Because it feels like to me everything's breaking around him before he gets the opportunity to carry.
If I get one player to save on Dignitas, that would be it. But also some of the games have been mediocre from him too, other than the Callisto one.
Okay. The Ezreal game I think was pretty bad. I thought his Ashe game was completely fine. I mean, obviously he missed some arrows, but it's pretty hard to hit arrows in that circumstance anyway. And then the Callisto game I thought was pretty good. I think that Froggen is just really, 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 really an issue for this team because he can't play counter picks. And when you can't play counter, if you have a mid laner where the enemy team could just blind TF into you and you have nothing to play into it, and instead of going control mage versus control mage, you're confident in your counter pick and you counter pick the TF with a LeBlanc, whatever, and you can't do anything in the game as a LeBlanc versus TF. It's what the fuck do you do? That feels really doomed.
So LeBlanc isn't a real counter pick, right? I know it used to be in the past, but because TFs are running Spellbook and they're much tankier, unless you have really good jungle setup like LeBlanc Lee or LeBlanc Rek'Sai, you actually don't have that much kill pressure on TF. So I thought it was the wrong pick. And I heard you're supposed to be doing control mage picks into TF and you just want to out teamfight it and out muscle it. And that's Froggen's go-to. So for him to play LeBlanc in that match was really fucking weird for me. They already have Graves locked in. You haven't really played LeBlanc in forever. You've been that control mage player. So why all of a sudden switch it up?
I mean, I don't think that LeBlanc is supposed to really beat things 1v1. It's just about I mean, LeBlanc is the best setup in the game for your jungler. So you just set up the wave at a decent point. You freeze the wave, and then when TF has to walk up, you just double distortion on him, chain him, and he's just dead. Graves could kill somebody who's double distortion and chain. So it's for me, I just don't see the idea behind that. And also, I think his building was really terrible, which is really surprising because you think that more the older players I would expect to have more understanding of League of Legends, how the math of it works. And obviously Void Staff is percentage penetration, right? If you're against no MR, spending 2650 on percentage penetration makes zero sense. You're literally negating more MR if you just go Sorcerer's Shoes and Oblivion Orb, something like that. You'll do more damage like that. So yeah.
Also, Soul Case is like one of the strongest items for mages. Like it is such a broken item. Like being able to get spell pen that early and that cheap. So like for him to not buy Sword Boost and the AP item part and instead just full rush Void Staff was so bad.
Yeah, I think it's just super troll. And then also like I was thinking about builds and I'm like wouldn't Banshee's Veil be super good against TF? Because every single fight, right? He's going in. He's not getting hit by anything besides for gold card. And as soon as he gets gold carded, he has to take W back and then R distortion R out, you know? Yeah. So why does Void Staff outperform Banshee's Veil there? And then if you need a Void Staff, you can go third. If not, you can build Death Cap third. Like they didn't have much MR. So I just don't understand. I just don't understand what like the point of that item is. Like it just seems so atrociously bad. And I like tried to reason with like, hey, like maybe there's champions that get natural. But when I looked at the game, it just seemed like it was like just troll. I just couldn't figure out a reason for it.
I'm not sure if Banshees is fine. Like I know mid laners and AD carries have a thing where you can't build defensive items at certain timings because you need to be able to hit certain damage threshold. And if you're not able to, then you can't really function as a champion. Then again, he's playing versus TF and Lulu, so I don't think he was going to do anything anyways. 100% with you on the build being bad, but I'm not sure Banshee solves the problem.
So what else can you build to be able to play the game when you're against a TF like that?
I think you're right, and just keep building AP items and try to like get damage and try to get picks. Like that's the only role you have as LeBlanc. Like you're not going to do anything else. Like you either assassinate champions like Aphelios, TF, or Lulu, or you're just not really there as a champion.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, so even when they did build MR, they had like a death stance, like with the Aegis. At that point, Aegis is only 30 MR. I still don't think it's sufficient to build a Void Staff there. So I just think it's really, really weird. And then also just like the way that he played the game, he's just getting caught randomly, like before Baron and shit. Right. Like he got caught before 2 Barons, just got solo killed, like just get, or didn't get solo killed, but he just gets caught and dies alone before the biggest objective in the game 2 times in a row. It just seemed like such a bad game. I mean, you can't have your mid laner doing that.
It was actually such a good game from Johnson and Afro. Looking back on it, like they almost carried the game. They almost fucking did it. Like Johnson played out of his mind.
Yeah, I mean he did what he could. There's just nothing you can do when your team plays that bad. It's really really atrocious.
So, dude, also there's also one other player I want to point out. When Johnson's fucking going off on Callista, there was one fight where Wiggly didn't target Johnson and he flash ulted a different target. Like, yes, Dignitas lost, but also the level of play from CLG was just so garbage in this match. Yeah, this was like really the kind of game where I look at it and I'm like, holy shit, is this actual LCS?
Yeah, I mean, CLG, like, there's just such like weird, clear breakdowns in communication. Like, so for example, when Bard, there was the fight at Red Buff, which is kind of like a weird way to try to accelerate the game there. Like, you don't want to really fight in closed corridors versus the enemy team. Like, you want to be able to like use your TF and like have like open fights. And like, if you do take a fight in the jungle, you want to have a man advantage or something like that. It was so strange to me that they just like threw the whole game over at Red Buff, and then there was no communication. It's like 3 people get Bard ulted in the back, then Pub Ulter just has a gold card and he's just running into the fucking enemy team. Like, it just looked so troll. It's like, wait, so number one, I think Pub Ulter should be able to recognize the situation. He should have the map awareness to realize, hey, my team just got Bard ulted. The call here is to just peel back and kill the Aatrox. Like, you should be a good enough player to understand that. But even if you're not, your teammates should see what's happening, and somebody should be like, hey, we're Bard ulted. Like kill Aatrox, like kill Aatrox when he comes out of Bardo. Like, that's the call. The fact that they couldn't do that, and then they just like have 3 people die, and it just becomes like a whole clusterfuck.
Yeah,
and they essentially just win by
came back.
Yeah, I just think that that's really, really that's a mark of a bad team. That's like a Schalke team right there.
I mean, that situation I felt like happened very quickly, and it changed on a dime very quickly. And TF hasn't been in the meta since. Like, how long? What, 2 years, 3 years? Like, so I feel like there's a little bit of rust there for Pobe, but, you know, that was pointed out on the broadcast itself. It was like, hey, this is what the call should have been, and you could have fixed it with comms, but I don't know how much you practice that specific situation with that champion.
Well, I mean, it should just be like if you play the game, you should know that. Like, you're a TF. You're not.
You're Pobe out there. You've been playing the game since you were like 8.
Yep. It's true.
So with this, let's pull it back off of CLG for now and put it back onto Dignitas, the focus. And we talked about their 10-man roster, Odyssey, you know, BS kind of stuff that they've been talking about. If you had to replace 2 players, who would you change right now for Dig?
Oh my god, I don't.
Oh, Viper Froggen, 100%.
with
And
your
what,
academy
Phoenix,
guys.
you Phoenix Lorlo.
Yeah, Phoenix Lorlo.
Oh
Viper
man,
Froggen has to be the move. I don't think there's any other two that who else are you going to replace?
Viper for sure.
You're not going to replace. So you're not going to replace Froggen based off how he's looked.
I'm trying to think if
first 2 weeks.
I guess it has to be. Yeah.
I mean, I guess the only other person. How have you felt about Acadian's play so far?
Bad, but not worst.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
the
I mean-
bigger problem on the team.
I thought his Trundle game was really bad, but I think that like his other games are just fine. Like I don't think that I thought his Nidalee game into Santorin's Trundle was actually like decent. He was kind of juggling a lot. He was actually trying to get a lead over the Trundle, but yeah, it just didn't. It didn't end up working out because of their team comp difference, and they just didn't get a big enough lead in the early game overall. But I think that was a fine game. If you have better laning, that can do something for you. Also, I think that somebody like Froggen and somebody like the way that Acadian is playing, like if the meta is these invade heavy junglers, I don't think that Froggen is the right mid laner for the team. I think Phoenix is like, you want the mid laner that's kind of like a monkey, where they just push the lane 24/7 and they're just like ready to invade and they just want to fight everything all the time. You don't want the guy that's just sitting there scaling. You want the Jizuke mid lane just flinging poop at the enemy laner under turret 24/7. Like that's what you need.
Phoenix is Jizuke light.
Yeah, exactly.
So for context, the Academy roster to round out the starting 10, it's Lorlo, Dardoch, Phoenix in the mid lane, not at bot lane anymore. Bot lane is now being patrolled by Asta, who was formerly of Optic Academy, and JJ, who was on FlyQuest for a little while, and then got benched, and then got starting, and then got benched again. So you got guys that have been around for a while, and it's not like it's a it'll be a brand new kind of working with a rookie type situation. You got guys that have been around, but not a lot of answers on this squad. Any last thoughts before we move on?
One thing I will say, like we talked about switching players, but do note these like LCS caliber players like Phoenix, Lorlo, Dardoch are 1 and 3 in Academy. So the Academy players aren't even doing hot. So they might not switch, and I don't blame them.
Hey, 1-3 is better than 0-4, so who knows?
All right, well, we'll see how Dignitas are able to move forward. You guys hit on a big point that was a theme of last week, last weekend's action, which were draft oopsies. You can pull out the Blitzcrank. I never thought I was going to say it ever like that before. Draft oopsies. Anyway, so we covered the Dignitas draft, LeBlanc kind of going into that team composition. But the big one that drew a lot of criticism was the TSM draft. The TSM draft was pretty papega. There were multiple tweets about it right on afterwards. Draft difference. I think Solo tweeted that out or something like that.
Draft headshot or something.
Draft headshot. Yeah. That's what it was. Let's pull that one up. Guys, you guys always able to talk about the draft, explain what they're supposed to do, what happened. Stepson Parth has now descended down from upstairs in the TSM management to this coaching role, supposed to be leading this team here. Dom, what the hell happened?
Let me go first. I want to go first.
I wanted to give it Dom because I knew you were going to protect him. Go ahead, Loco.
No, I'm going to protect it. I know exactly what happened regarding TSM.
Well, I just have a question. Like, I don't even have a comment on. Okay, so like, I have a question. Okay, so let's say you have a player on your team that is notorious for being terrible at Mage's bot, right? And then you have the person that plays Syndra best in probably the entire LCS on your team as well. Which person do you give Syndra to in this situation?
The louder voice.
Oh, the louder voice? Oh, I thought you just give it to Bjergsen and you tell them both to shut the fuck up. That's what I thought, but I guess not.
Okay. Rhetorical question, but so the TSM thing I want to point out is TSM's draft is almost always fine in 1, 2, and 3. TSM never makes draft mistakes in 1, 2, and 3. Their mistakes come in 4 and 5 because they can't adapt properly. Like TSM's really good. Like one thing you have to give Parts credit for is he's actually really good about prepping. Like prepping out situations and prepping out scenario. TSM has always been good at. They just suck balls at adapting, or like when there's bans coming out they don't know how to deal with, or there's a pick that they don't expect. Draft goes to shit. And I think that's exactly what happened here. Like Syndra, Lee, Nautilus, completely fine up a draft versus Aphelios, Trundle, Ornn. It's that their 5 pick is so fucking garbage. They do anything but fiddle. Like they just pick a normal 80 carry for Doublelift. They do Ezreal, they do MF. I think this draft is like 20 times better for TSM.
Yeah. Triple AP bot side is so troll. It's like think about how easy it is to play in that game. You know that Aphelios is just taking magic resist runes, and if the game ever gets hard, like let's say they do somehow get it like an early solo kill, the Aphelios just builds Hex Drinker, and then it's just he's unkillable in that lane, right? And I've seen laners do this before. They actually played the same lane in solo queue on Doublelift stream, the Syndra Nautilus, and they played it to FBI, and FBI just built a Hex Drinker in the game, and they just couldn't do anything. The game was just over right there. And I just saw them do the same thing on stage where it's like, wait, why are you just going full magic damage? Number one, I don't even think Syndra Nautilus is that good of a lane. I think that Syndra is much better with set support. I think that's like ideally what I want to see Syndra with, or like there's other potential picks for it as well. But I just think that Syndra Nautilus is just full magic damage, so it's really easy to play into. Also, like you can do Syndra with Pike, which is another one. So you just like I like the combination of AD support AD support and then AP mage when you're playing the Syndra. It just seems like it's much harder to play against. But I don't know. I think that overall, if you are gonna play Syndra and Nautilus, then you should open up for like some type of like hybrid damage dealing mid laner or something like that.
And specifically into FlyQuest comp, it's so fucking bad. You see Leona, you see Ornn, you see Trundle, and you're like, we're gonna lock in Fiddle. We don't need consistent damage to beat up these tanks. Like, we really don't need an AD carry here. Like, the adaptation coming from TSM is just garbage. It's just so fucking bad. I don't know how else to put it.
Wait. So on that front, I think that's a really good point. They already have all of the information of Trundle, Leona, Ornn to play, basically protect the Aphelios. What could the thinking be, Loco? Like, what could they be thinking?
There is no thinking. Sometimes you make a mistake, and sometimes you do things without thinking.
The thinking is this. The thing is this. They're thinking about things in isolation, where they're like, oh, Aphelios, what is the counter to Aphelios? Syndra. Oh, Syndra. Yeah, Syndra is good versus Aphelios. Well, that's the thinking right there. Well, we're going to put our Syndra bot into Aphelios because that's the counter. That's what we know as a counter. When you put everything else together, you're like, okay, I mean, how hard are you going to actually smash this Aphelios in lane? And then like what happens later on in the game, even if you do smash the Aphelios? Like, how do you like close the game out? And I feel like that's just never going to happen. Like, what, you're just going to end up sieging turrets with fucking Syndra fiddlesticks, and you're just going to beat down the turrets with them? Like, your AD damage dealers are fucking Volibear and Lee Sin. Like, they're just melee champions. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
I'm gonna double check, but I'm pretty sure God wanted TSM to lose this game also, because it ended up being Earth Soul or Mountain Soul for it too. So they were even beyond tanky.
You and God homies?
It literally just doesn't matter. It's actually kind of crazy that Mash is just like outperforming Doublelift though. Like in LCS.
I don't think Mash played that well. But Doublelift Syndra is like new levels of bad. It's like Nautilus is shooting hook and Doublelift can't land the QE. Like it's like that levels of bad.
So yeah, did you see the first bot gank? Did you see fucking his QE where he E'd without the ball down? It was just like, man, like this guy. I mean, Double's just a boomer, right? It is what it is. The guy's been playing for 15 years. Well, you've been playing as a pro for like 23 years or whatever the fuck it is. You just gotta like stick to what you know. He plays 80 carries. He doesn't play other shit. Maybe you can throw Sona in there or something. But like just give him the Ezreal, bro. Give him Ezreal, give him Aphelios, give him fucking MF, give him normal 80 carries, give him Kalista when he wants Kalista. If Varus is up, you give him Varus. You just play normal shit. If anything, you should be wanting to like give the other team Ezreal, and then you pick like Kai'Sa into it. And it's like, oh, that's your like little counter. The guy, like that's your good matchup. Something like that. Or like a Vayne or something, you know?
There's one player that I kind of want to defend, which is Biofrost. I checked the subreddit and I checked the comments for Twitter and stuff. Everyone's shitting on Biofrost so much. The comp is shit. You can't really play it out. But as a Nautilus, if you play this defensively, like your win rate goes from like 1% to 0%. Like the Nautilus has to look for things, and naturally you're going to get caught up versus things like Trundle, Ornn, and Leona. Did Biofrost play well? Fuck no, but he is not like solely responsible for this loss. Like everyone just wants to gang up on a player.
Yeah. No, he deserves flame, but not at like that much flame.
Well,
I'm just talking about him feeding, but as a Nautilus, like how do you play this out? Like there isn't viable ways, but you have to go in and you have to be the one engaging.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just comes down to like playing better in the early game mainly. Like as soon as you start dying, you're just gonna go 0-15. Like that's what happens with Nautilus, bro. Like I mean, we've seen it from Stunt. Like watch a 100 Thieves game. Like that's one thing that I was saying when I was watching the game is I was like, damn, 100 Thieves just played. How is Stunt playing 2 games in a row? That's fucking crazy, right? Like it just it's the Stunt Nautilus. You die once, you die 15 times. You just have to.
Oh, one thing I wanted to ask you is, how do you think TSM is doing their draft? Like, there's times, and I've also been a coach where I didn't have my choices for picks, and there's been times where I did get to force down my choices. Who do you think is making final decision in draft?
Seems like players are just talking about like what they want.
Has to be, right?
Yeah. I just don't understand like why they don't want to sit. Like the thing is, not every player can carry every game, right? So if you have somebody for example, I don't understand why TSM just abandoned the idea of just playing through Broken Blade all the time. Like, why not just play through fucking Broken Blade? That worked for you for so long, and the only profitable plays that happened this game were through Broken Blade. So like it just has to be like that's your win condition. Like that's your player that can actually carry the game. If you're drafting him Volibear early, right? Volibear is broken beyond belief right now, right? So if you're playing a super broken top laner, just fill everything in with like role players. I'm sure if you have a Syndra mid and you have an Ezreal bot lane, Lee Sin Volibear. The thing is Volibear does some amount of mixed damage, right? So it's not like something where it's like, oh shit, we only have one AD or we only have one AP threat, like they're just gonna stack armor. No, it's fine. Like you just play through him, you play through his Volibear, you have Syndra win lane like Bjergsen will probably do and roam top, and it should be okay.
Yeah. Volibear is like the rare top where it's actually pretty good to play for him early because of the tower disable thing, and he falls off later on, but his early and mid game is pretty good. He has the damage, he has the CC, he has really good dive potential. I think it was
so easy to play with.
It was Kumo, right? That was diving multiple times, like that was actually getting so much shit done on Volibear.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure Broken Blade can do the same thing.
Definitely. It makes no sense to me that it's like, okay, so what was TSM's biggest strength of getting advantages? Oh, diving turrets top lane. Oh, they have a champion that's probably the best turret diving top laner in the game right now because he can disable the fucking turret while you're diving. It's like, yeah, now let's just fucking play through the fucking Syndra Nautilus and just lose the game 3v3. Like, what?
They practice this in scrims. 100% has to be. Like, they practice Syndra Nautilus into Aphelios in scrims, and they had good results, and they're just trying to repeat it, and it's just not really feasible.
Yeah, that's what I would do if I was scrimming TSM. I would just be like, oh, like, shit. They're doing so much magic damage, there's nothing I can do. And then in game, you just see, like, my first... I'd come back to lane, like, you get a lost chapter, and I get a fucking Hex Drinker. And I would just be chilling there. I'm like, yep, I'm being a bitch. Like, I'm farming, and you're getting outscaled. Like, what are you going to do now?
This wasn't the only draft that our experts had in mind in terms of Draft Kingdom. The second one comes from the champs Cloud9 and our evil geniuses downgrading back into our evil achievers because they achieved also a draft oopsies for this week. Dom, go ahead, break this one down for us. Why is EG's draft here pretty trash? They got the Aphelios. They got the Volibear.
I mean, it's just the mid lane, right? Like you can't pick Kassadin there. You can only pick Kassadin if you have stronger jungler. But if you have weaker jungler, like a substantially weaker jungler that can't ever 1v1, and then you have like a Kassadin, you're not going to be able to play the game. It just is what it is. So if you watch how other regions incorporate Kassadin, they almost always go Kassadin Olaf. So they have like the really strong beast early jungler that like can like 2v1 pretty much essentially, and then they just pair that with the Kassadin. So they ban out counters to Olaf, they early draft Olaf, and then they pivot into Kassadin on like 4 or 5 picks. So I think that's just the approach that you need to have. And also I just think that Kassadin into Karma is just like I thought it was really greedy the way he played it. I don't know why he didn't take...
What the fuck, Conquerors? Holy shit! Isn't it Fleet versus like matchups you're gonna have problems with?
Yeah, it has to be Fleet, and it also has to be Doran Shield. I think you need a Doran Shield in this, and like, yeah, I think you just need Fleet forward, Doran Shield, and to be able to like sustain. Maybe if it's really bad and you don't even think you'll be able to like Q the guy, maybe you can even go second win. I'm not sure, but I know that Conqueror plus no Doran's Shield cannot be the move. Like you need to be able to sustain through that lane.
Like speaking more on the Kassadin pick, like there's certain matchups you pick it into and you feel really good about. Like LeBlanc is like a really big one, but when you're picking it, if you look at Cloud9's comp, they have so much early game priority. Karma, Jace, Olaf, like they want to be playing for early game, and EG pick for so far late game where it doesn't matter. Like I don't understand. And EG is the one team where I actually respect their coaching staff and their management, and they do smart things. Other than picking up Huni, we don't have to talk about that right now, but they've been generally really smart about how they do things. So I was shocked.
I even think picking up Huni is decently smart, right? Because like you can pick him up now for probably really cheap, and then he becomes a resident, and then he increases in value, and you can just scam another team with him, and then you get free wins of whoever gets Huni. It's like
IMT
it's
Huni
super
2021.
good. Yeah, for sure. Think about it. Like it's actually just a 200 IQ move, but either way, I think that the concept of the draft is just so flawed. You don't want to go into a game and be like, all right, we give Cloud9 is already the best early game team, so we're just gonna let them have a better early game team comp than us, and we're just gonna like scale into the game, and they're not gonna be able to close it out cleanly. Like they've proven that they know how to run over games. They always run over games. Like they're getting a million dragons, Rift Herald, they're ending the game in like 25 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
So if that's the team you're playing into, why is your mentality like the best teams we've seen into them, the teams that have looked the best in Cloud9, even like the Golden Guardians game, you have to take it to them early. You pick things that have the ability to fight early and you just scrap it out. That's the only way you're going to be able to get through the game. And they didn't do that. They did the opposite of that. They're like, early game, blabber Olaf. And especially like, the thing that was extra disgusting about this was C9 fully telegraphed the Olaf first pick. Like I was screaming it on my fucking stream.
Almost always Olaf pick.
Trundle and Graves. So they ban out the two biggest counters to Olaf, and then they've played 2 games of Olaf so far. Like it's going to be a first pick Olaf. Yeah. Like so the only way you can deal with that is you have Kindred into it, and then you have like a mid laner with some form of priority where you can help invade the Olaf before he's
normally you want to have the karma if you're versus Olaf. Like Kindred karma on EG side would have made so much more sense.
Yeah, I just think that is just really bad prep, especially considering they did the same thing multiple times, right? They did the same type of draft strategy against FlyQuest, and the second game they played, I forget who they were playing into, but they did the same type of draft strategy again. Like I went through it, so by the third time, it's like you have to prep for it. Like you have to know the Olaf is coming. So
and it's when good Olaf come to Yuumi karma on top of it.
Oh yeah. So the other thing is they should be taking the fucking the Ezreal there. In my opinion, if the enemy team takes Olaf, then you should be taking the Ezreal Yuumi. You take the Yuumi, and they can take whatever they want after that.
I know we're going to talk about it later, but I'm pretty sure like Aphelios is pretty OP, and the Aphelios Ezreal matchup, it's really hard to win from the Ezreal side. So to give a team both Olaf and Aphelios, like you're going to have problems. Like you're going to be pushed in bot lane also. I don't think there's a winning situation when you give up Olaf first pick. Like they can't afford to give up both Olaf and Aphelios and try to do something there.
Yeah.
So in this case, what's the change here with Varus?
I don't like Thresh ban. Why is that Thresh ban?
Yeah, exactly. The Thresh ban. The Thresh ban, you drop the Thresh ban, you ban Olaf, and if you do end up needing a Thresh ban because for some reason your bot lane doesn't play against it, when they take the Olaf, you take the Ezreal Yuumi on your team. Like you just trade it off like that because if the other enemy team has like what the other team is going to do is they're going to do Lulu Aphelios then. So if you're trading the Yuumi Ezreal for Lulu Aphelios, Lulu is not as good with Olaf as Yuumi is. Right? Yeah. It's completely different because obviously there's a synergy with Olaf. Obviously needs move speed and the healing synergizes with the Olaf W, and it's just more abusive. You perma slow for the Olaf. Like it's just way easier to play Olaf with the Yuumi there, especially if the Olaf goes Spirit Visage and things like this. So at least you have like you have the not like Exodia comp on top of the Olaf. You limit the Olaf, even though you get like a slightly weaker bot lane, you limit the Olaf's capabilities, and then you try to counterpick the Olaf later in the draft. So instead of going something like the Lee Sin, like we said, you go Kindred, and then you try to pick something that can synergize with the Kindred early.
Watch just Cloud9 comms, like they release videos on like how they did draft and shit, like and they're gonna be fucking laughing their asses off. They're gonna be talking about how EG gave them everything they wanted.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I can already imagine Coach Reaper being like, "Oh, we did all this prep, and we get to save the exact draft that we want with the Olaf slipping through and the Yuumi getting on in as well." You brought it up, Loco, and I think it's a good point. With all the changes from the offseason, and then Dom having a great jump on the middle sticks last week, I wanted to touch on the drafts. So drafts themselves have been kind of changing here, and I wanted to hop into kind of the draft evolution of our split so far. So you got Volley all of a sudden with his changes up in the top lane, kind of being king of the top lane. Ezreal, Aphelios is the matchup that we've seen almost every time. Someone that's not on this is Varus, has been permabanned. Varus has been banned every single game.
Yeah.
And then Syndra.
Wait, doesn't that show that AD is like such a fucking broken role? When literally you look at these pro teams and they're banning Varus, Kalista, and then sometimes Aphelios is getting banned too, and Ezreal is like, there's 4 fucking ADs that are insanely OP right now. That's crazy, right? Like, what other role are they banning out four of them every single time? Like, it's really crazy.
I think Jungle is also OP. Jungle has Olaf. Jungle has Graves. I will give you Varus OP. I will give you Aphelios OP. I think Ezreal is not going to be as good once Death Dance gets nerfed. I think that's next week. It already got nerfed on live. And yeah, I mean, it's just 2 champions really. Maybe Kalista. I can give you Kalista maybe.
Wait, so then it's like 4 champions. Which one is not insane right now?
I don't think Ezreal is insane. And I think Ezreal is way more so has to do with Death Dance than anything.
Yeah, but that's just an item. like what? Like
nerfed. It's already nerfed on live. And it's gonna be nerfed on Pro Patch.
Wait, is it nerfed? Next week. Is it nerfed on live already?
Yeah, it's nerfed for range users.
Yeah, okay. Not bad. I thought it wasn't even nerfed yet because people are still building it. So I guess even after the nerf, it's still OP. Interesting.
Yeah. So, well, for the Aphelios thing, like we've been seeing so much Aphelios Ezreal matchup. I think Aphelios won every single one of those in NA. And speaking just about NA, especially because I'm not watching the other regions, Aphelios is so much better for NA teams. Like you don't have to execute as heavily. Like on Ezreal, a lot of it is timing based, a lot of it is hitting poke, and a lot of it is staying forward and being in danger. Aphelios doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think Aphelios is just like really, really good right now. There's just no way to really like punish it. I mean, we've seen people try to counter it with Syndra. We've seen a bunch of different approaches into it. I mean, the problem with Aphelios is that worst comes to worst, you just pair Braum with it. And then you just like tank in front of the Aphelios, and the Aphelios could just do the damage for the entire team. So I just think that now that people have understood how to like manage guns, which guns to have at different timings, like how to like appropriately like track your ammo, etc. It just seems super, super broken.
Yeah. Mobalytics coach was talking to me about it, how Aphelios constantly got nerfed ever since he became released, but people kept getting better at playing with the champion. So his win rate still stayed the same and he still had pro viability despite every single patch has been about Aphelios nerfs. He has not gotten a single buff since he got released and he's still way fucking up there. And it's just players getting better at the champion.
Yep. But I mean, I guess AD carry is just it's just weak.
Well, go ahead, Loco. As our AD carry expert.
Oddball champions. Like Varus is also an oddball champion. Like that is really strong. I don't think AD carries are that strong. I don't
really. I think AD carries are just so insane right now. AD carries seem like godlike broken in these competitive games. And that like even in fucking challenger games, like they look really fucking broken. Like when one team has reckless core, when one team has fucking tactical core JJ, and when you watch like fucking Reckless's stream or like any of that, it just seems like okay, man. Like there's a lot you could play as AD carry right now. And even if you jump into like just the role in general, like Syndra is still insane, right? Syndra is a flex AD carry. Obviously, Doublelift doesn't play it well, so it doesn't look good when he plays it. But when other people play it, looks pretty fucking good. Like the Soraka coming in from Reckless in Europe, even though they lost the games, it looked really OP in lane. Like they just are able to like stomp their fucking lane with it every time. Like there's like 6 champions that are fucking really good right now. And I think that the reason why AD carries are so good is because assassins are so bad. That's essentially just like the counter to AD carries in my mind. And then also like AD carries have just realized that they can just run exhaust, and then with whoever's diving them, they just exhaust them, and they can
actually kite and fight.
Yeah, so I just think that it's like it just went the other way, right? Like AD carries got buffed obviously recently, and then the items got buffed, and even when Death Dance was super broken, it's like people didn't even start building Death Dance on AD carry until like LCS started, which is so weird because now we're just in a state where the community has a perception that's just far from the truth, where AD carry is like really good, and then people think it's really bad, so they're not going to nerf it, and are we going to end up in season 7 again, where it's just like Art Incenser fucking AD carries just dominating everything again? Like what's going to happen? I'm kind of like nervous for it.
There are also contextual changes, like Enchanter supports being back in the meta. We're seeing more
Karma.
We're seeing more Lulu. Yeah, we're seeing more Karma. So I think it's a meta shift, not just like AD carry being really strong. I don't think we're still the strongest role. I'm the AD carry and you're the jungler. Like junglers got really strong with the XP changes, and they're one of the strongest roles now. Like you're staying in XP range of solo lanes. Like there's so many comps that revolve around like just pushing the jungle and making sure the jungle is the strongest role.
I mean, I see like a lot of these teams running Olaf and LCS, right? Like obviously C9 does it well, but when I'm watching, like for example, we saw Meteos play Olaf, we've seen like a couple Graves games, and it just looks like whatever to me. Like we saw Paul at Graves, we saw Caden Graves. It doesn't feel like it's anything. It doesn't put the same pressure on the game as like when one team has Aphelios, for example, where it's just like, oh, okay, this guy's just like 1v5ing. It seems like it's like, and also I just think that the champions are really overrated. Specifically Graves. I think Graves is a super overrated champion right now, and just people are just scared that he gets like ahead of you in terms of experience, but the champion actually doesn't have the ability to kill like frontline. Like even when you go the build that everyone goes on Graves, or you go Black Cleaver Death Stance, you play that into, for example, we saw a good example of it where Wiggly was playing like set jungle, right? And the set jungle was super far behind. Like he was behind like 30 CS, like he didn't have any kills or assists or anything, and he was still significantly more useful than Akaden in team fights. He was just able to like tank everything. So
well like Varus, Graves is picked or banned like every game, and has been the only position he's been picked is first pick. That's the only position he's been, because if he's open, that's the priority that teams are going with.
Yeah, and I think that's really exploitable. So I want to see more teams just trading Graves for other things. I'd actually love to see what's Graves' win rate actually in LCS.
Let's see.
It can't be that good. I remember so much losses. Froggen has probably the highest win rate.
So let's see. I'm checking. Lost with Dignitas, one with Team Liquid, one with Golden Guardians, lost with Immortals. So 50%. And there's only been one game where both Graves and Aphelios got through, and that was Dignitas and CLG earlier this week.
Okay.
Yeah, Trunds was at 77%. Like that's just NA. You pick champions that scale well, that can team fight well, and those are the champions that win.
Yep.
Fiddlesticks showed up. You called it, Dom. It was like waiting until everyone else caught up, and now.
I wanted to see Fiddlesticks. Like I called Fiddlesticks jungle. I think Fiddlesticks.
I thought you called
jungle
Fiddlesticks.
No. I think Fiddlesticks in general. I talked about like how people were playing it because I played with Bjergsen and Broken Blade, and they're just playing fucking fiddle mid and top. But I think in jungle it actually has viability into the Nidalees, like the things that you don't want to play fiddle into is like set jungle. You don't want to play it into Olaf. You don't want to play it into the tanky stuff. But if you play it into like Graves or Nidalee, I think it's pretty good. Kindred as well. But yeah.
Well, so do you think this is going to all of a sudden become like a flex pick that people can start working through, and you can have like a multi-flex picks? I think we saw that a lot in the beginning of Season 9 and the end of Season 8.
Yeah, I definitely think it should be a flex. I don't think fiddle mid is just like terrible. I mean, obviously TSM lost with it. There's a time for it. It's obviously low damage, but the fact that you can just walk into like any of these mages that people are playing, like when people pick Azir, when people pick Corki, like who functions as kind of like a mage in lane, like kind of like a spellcaster, etc., and you can just walk into the wave and just start draining it and get full priority. And even if the jungler comes, you can just drain tank both of them. I feel like that has a lot of like power. Just in general in the game, like it allows your jungler to do whatever the fuck he wants. So I want to see more teams actually using it, and I hope that other teams are willing to like see the strength of the pick, even though it's just TSM that's playing it.
Loco, with Death Dance changes and a couple items changes, do you feel like the bot lane meta is going to change in the upcoming weeks? What do you want to see changed from some of these drafts and some of these teams?
Bot lane meta changing? Let's see. So on 10.13, they said they're going to nerf the stance. They're nerfing Aphelios. They're nerfing Callista.
Tell me they're nerfing Varus.
I thought
it's
Varus
actually not up there.
Yeah, I thought Varus
so
got.
They're not nerfing Varus. Varus is like literally the best AD.
Yes, but I thought Varus was like unplayable because of Death Dance and his ability to auto attack super fast. I thought that so with
no, that is not the Varus build. The Varus build right now is Umbro, and you go full lethality.
Oh, the full lethality.
Yeah, that champion is broken because of Umbro Glaive. Like that item is actually so fucking stupid. It's cheaper than pretty much every other first item out there, and it gives you every stat that Varus would want, and the passive is really fucking good too. So yeah, I think Varus is still going to be must pick, must ban because he's not on the he's not on the nerf list according to Mark Yetter. He's the design lead for League of Legends. Yeah, on his tweet, like Varus isn't up there for nerf.
Also, Varus is like open all the time in fucking solo queue. So if you want free elo and you play AD carry, just play Varus every game. Like drop the ego. You don't need to play Vayne. You don't need to play Kaisa. You don't have to look like just play what's fucking broken, and you'll fucking just become a fucking top 5 AD carry in solo queue, just like that.
Perfect. Speaking of top 5, thanks, Dom. We're going to our top 5 teams with Cloud9 and everybody else. CLG, FlyQuest, EG, and Team Liquid. I had to put CLG on there because they are 3-1. I know you feel strongly about this, Dom, but we can talk about all 4 of the teams chasing Cloud9 as possible contenders, because FlyQuest, their only loss was against Cloud9, but has had a little bit easier of a route. EG also getting smacked by Cloud9, but then pummeling TL having a great start compared to last season, and CLG has 3 wins. So they're there.
Okay, I'll talk about CLG first. So CLG got perfect game to EG, and then they beat the 2 weakest teams in LCS. They beat Dignitas and they beat Immortals. And the Dignitas game, arguably, they probably should have lost. And then...
The team had Froggen LeBlanc, true.
Yeah. And then they won the Golden Guardians game. So I think like that is like the only good win they have, where they won the Golden Guardians game. And that really came off of one play where Closer invaded, and they cut the invade really well. Like that is full props to them. And then the game was just fucked for Golden Guardians. Like that comp was so based around Nidalee being strong, and Nidalee wasn't strong, and TF constantly was able to catch up people. So I think CLG has had 1 good game, and they've had 2 games they should win almost no matter what, and they have 1 perfect game. So yes, they're 3-1, but I don't think it's a really good representation of how strong they are.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that the team is just very bad. Like they should have lost. Like even the Immortals game didn't look specifically good or anything. It's not like they smacked Immortals. So I just think that this team is just, I think they're probably like a bottom 4 team. Maybe they're, I think they're probably bottom 4.
The 2 things hyping them are their scoreline, and also Jack did a tier list, and then he talked about how good CLG has been in scrims. So yeah, those are the 2 things. I mean, it's scrims. They play easy teams. As we see more, I don't think we're going to see good things.
I feel like CLG are inverse Golden Guardians. Golden Guardians are the strongest 1-3 team, I think, just sitting there, and we're in almost all of their games, but haven't been able to seal the deal after going 0-2 this week. We were pretty high on GGS, or GG, whatever the hell they call themselves now. Next team we wanted to touch on, FlyQuest. FlyQuest, with the 2-0 week, only lost their first game, so on a 3-game winning streak. This week feels a little bit more like they got a buff, a power play, because they were the recipient of both of our draft oopsies. Do you feel like this is the clear number 2 team compared to EG, or do you feel like EG might have the edge on them?
I think it's hard to say, and they're good in very different ways. I think there's times where I think EG has way better individual players. When I look at players like Bang, when ZGK pops off, when Svenskeren pops off, like they're just way more high and low.
When does Svenskeren pop off?
That one Kindred game. What was it? The first game he played?
Oh, the one against Medios?
Yeah.
Was that pop? I guess that was popping off.
Pop off.
Yeah.
It was something.
There's definitely times where I think Bang is a better AD carry than even Sven. Like the things he does on Aphelios and the things I heard of in terms of him playing Ezreal and scrims. So I think EG has like really, really high highs, but FlyQuest is so fucking solid. Like they're very well rounded. There's no one I can point to and I'm like, oh, this guy is like a bad player. And they're always very in sync about what they're doing. I think the team with the best teamwork is Cloud9, and after that, FlyQuest and TL have the best teamwork.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really even know about TL's teamwork. TL seems like kind of weird to me. Just like how hard they lost to EG and just the way they played that game out. I feel like TL still has a mid-jungle synergy problem. Which was the whole idea that Broxah was supposed to shore up, right? It was supposed to be, you get Broxah in your team, like he's better. He gives you better mid jungle synergy than Xmithie did, right? Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen that. Like I thought those Trundle ganks were really fucking weird. It put him super far behind in the jungle. He lost a lot of tempo there, and just essentially was never able to get back into the game. I think Broxah has like not been that good in general. personally. Like, I think he makes a lot of weird mistakes. Like, he suicided for a dragon in the first game they played. I think it was versus 100 Thieves, maybe. I'm not sure who it was against, but he suicided for a dragon that I thought was like really, really weird. I don't know. I'm just not like super high on TL because when they lost, they don't seem like they have a way into it. And I'm just worried about like their top side losing the game before Tactical can get online. I think their bot side has been upgraded though. I definitely think that Tactical Core JJ looks a lot better than Core JJ Doublelift did.
Yeah,
Core JJ is popping off. His bar play, like his individual play, has been really good.
I've been waiting for the mummy jokes because Tactical's last name is Ra, so like Mum Ra, or you could go Egyptian, something of that nature there, because he's been carrying this team and even in that last game where it felt like they were dead, there was a feeling that Team Liquid could still pull it out if Tactical was able to continue to carry there, but I felt like the deficit was just so big there, and that was the first time where it felt like Impact was just kind of running in, Mordekaiser ulting somebody, and then dying. Like that felt a little off because it felt like he was tilted.
Yeah, TL kind of kept the same identity when they had Doublelift in terms of like we're a team fighting team. Like you look at their draft, they're drafting stuff like Mordekaiser, Cassio, Trundle together, and they're just looking for fights in the wrong places. That game, the Mordekaiser, Trundle, Cassio, who was it versus? It was versus VG. Like they're looking for fights in mid lane, pre-6 on a Trundle Cassio lane. Like there's just some.
Well, I just don't know how they ever even burn the flash of the TF there. I feel like it's such a low reward gank, right? It's you're guaranteed to lose a decent amount of tempo as a Trundle. Like Trundle normally wants to hit level 3, get on the map, and then just like try to like make something happen, right? In this situation, even if you get a perfect pillar on the TF that has Ghost Flash, doesn't he just ghost and run away? Like how is the Cassio going to kill him at level 1 with just Q? Like it just doesn't seem like you're ever getting anything out of that gank, and it takes a lot of time, right? Like you're losing a lot of efficiency going for that gank. So
I feel like Centaur's the only one that really understands Trundle. I haven't seen Blabber play it.
Well, Blabber played it this week. He played it and got shit on, kind of, but it didn't matter.
That was the first game,
Golden Guardians game.
Oh, Golden Guardians game. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I thought Blabber played it pretty poorly. I think Santorin's the best Trundle. He just understands like which ganks are actually like high impact. So, for example, the gank that he did top versus Viper, like. He understands, like, okay, I'm burning this guy's flash, and that could have even been a kill. Like, if they double flash there, it's a kill. But he just didn't even want to go for it. It's like, oh, this is like enough. And then he's like able to affect the lane heavily, where it's like, oh, now Volibear can't play aggressive. Volibear wants to play aggressive in the early game. That's when Volibear is like at his strongest. And if he's not able to like actually like walk up to the wave and like contest the wave and stuff, it's just not a great champion. So, I think in general, like his understanding of which lanes actually are going to be affected by the gank is a lot different than other Trundles. So, for example, when Broxa did it, that doesn't seem like it'll ever affect the lane state. Like, let's say TF burns his ghost. He's never going to have to flash, so he just has to burn his ghost. Does that change how TF has to play versus Cassio if TF suddenly has no ghost? I'm pretty sure you can still play the exact same way. Like, it doesn't actually...
You don't get the kill on the regank either because you keep the flash.
And he burned his own laner's flash. Like, Cassio had to flash away there. But it's just it's never a play that's gonna work. Like I just think it's really like low, like it's really like low impact. That's what I would say. It's just a low impact gank. So, I mean, he should have been pathing to like he had the right idea originally, like path towards bot. Right, you're the team that has like the thresh, so you path towards the thresh lane, you gank at level 3, and you probably get a kill, like they did. But if you're just higher health and you do it at a different timing, then most likely you won't end up like trading a kill back or trading 2 kills back or whatever happened.
Yeah, it was the TP, right? I think Kumo TP.
Yeah, it was Kumo TP, and then Impact just ended.
Yeah.
The player I want to point out is like Kumo. Kumo's been doing surprisingly well. Like, I know he improved a lot compared to where he was at the start of spring to end of spring, but he's no longer like a weak link on EG. I feel like he's always playing solid. I can't think of games where I was like, damn, Kumo's been a huge problem this week. Go ahead.
I was going to say stage nerves are gone.
Yeah, because he's not playing on stage anymore.
Sorry,
the stage is gone.
Sorry, Loco, go ahead. Yeah, you were making.
Yeah, and that was it. Like Kumo's way better than what I hear Kumo, and I think like bottom 5. I think like just go play Ornn. Like just make sure you're letting Bang carry. Just make sure you're letting Caesar K carry. He's not that player anymore.
Yeah,
I think he's pretty okay.
Yeah, 7 or 8 is where I think we all kind of had him on the tier list. 7 or 8? Was it 8
I think
or
I had him
9?
9.
Yeah, 8 or 9. And right now he's looking like maybe a top 3 top laner. Like he with the way that in the Cloud9 game, even though they lost, he took it to Licorice in the 1v1s. I thought that was super cool and a cool redemption arc, even though Cloud9, ended up winning the game, pulling that one out and continue on with their success. It was cool to see, hey, look, I feel like Kumo is one guy that Cloud9 did let go early and made the right decision to, but it was they let go of him early before he could really make a stamp on the Cloud9, I guess, history, I would say. So I thought that was an interesting little tidbit. Last thing I wanted to touch on here, my fact of the week. Last time MASH played Doublelift and won was 2017 spring win, Loco.
2017 spring.
Yes.
Versus TL and relegations, like we won a game off of them.
That's right. That's correct.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was just the deep cut. So when I saw that matchup, I was like, "Oh, there's some Gold Coin United callback." So anytime I can give you the shout out for Gold Coin United.
FlyQuest has 3/5 Gold Coin United. Don't Mash Me, Centurion, and Solo.
I forgot that Don't Match Me was ever on GCU.
Yeah, we used him for a split, and then he was being a little. He was being an idiot during contract negotiation, and then I forgot where he joined. He joined like P1 or something, and he didn't even get to play a game. So
wait, no, he didn't he play for P1 a little bit?
He played.
He wasn't like a full starter. That's what I remember.
Mm-hmm. They were splitting, and then they ended up getting Arrow the season after. So it was like, thanks for filling in MASH. And then I think also Echo Fox for a little bit as well, but didn't win, didn't beat Doublelift. So I just saw that matchup. I was like, damn, these are two old dudes going back at it in season 10.
Mash Me's been playing since season 1. So both of them have been playing Both of them have been playing League of Legends for 10 years at the very least.
Like,
crazy.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on it because there aren't very many players that can say that. The fact that he's replacing Turtle, who's another one of these like lifers. It's not like, hey, here's Alltech replacing somebody. It's two old heads replacing each other and getting a win against another old head. I thought that was really cool. Speaking of Doublelift, got ourselves the tweet of the week. Doublelift did not hold back when he decided to take a shot at the production. It's actually impressive how it was possible for someone to make every wrong decision and make LCS worse to watch. I don't agree with the sentiment, but I think there are a lot of people do. And it felt like a little bit of a shot out of left field. And from time to time, Doublelift, it happens where he calls a shot and it backfires in his face. And this time I thought it was surprising who actually ended up popping up with this one. Not that one. Sorry, that's from the old one. Anyway, D-Lim coming out.
My boy
coach.
D-Lim.
D-Lim is attached with FlyQuest now, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
D-Lim coaching over at FlyQuest. It's actually impressive how it was possible for someone to make every wrong decision and make TSM worse to watch. So D-Lim not afraid. So one DL to the other DL.
Well, I mean, his team just beat them, right? So he could go for that.
Yeah. So props to Peter for always being willing to take shots, and props to D-Lim for not shying away for his opportunity to take a shot back, especially after they took down TSM in the weird draft that went down. Last tweet that we had here actually comes from Jack, and I think bodes a little bit of discussion in terms of player of the week and the way that the LCS gives this one out. So earlier, Jack was saying, hey, why didn't my boy Licorice get this get player of the week? Why are we just handing it out? I'm convinced the player of the week award is some sort of participation award versus actually being awarded to the best players in the league. And I think one of you actually hopped on that train and defended because it was Blabber, right? He was like, how is Blabber not the player of the week? And Dami hopped on in and had some ideas.
Well, I mean, I just think that in general, the circumstance, like in week 1, who would you give C9 player of the week to? Like Licorice had, so the two people that people were mentioning were Blabber and Licorice, right? So Licorice got his flash blown by Someday, like in lane, or I think it was Someday. I'm not sure exactly who it was, but he had a matchup where he shouldn't have been. I think it was Someday actually, where Someday was playing Orin, and then he was playing GP. And he got his flash blown in that matchup where you're supposed to be able to pressure with Gangplank. So that's just like weird that he, had that situation happen and like pretty much like lost control of his lane because of that. And then Blabber had like the first play of C9 season was he walked into River, right? And then he just got collapsed on. He didn't read the bot lane prio situation properly. 3 people died, including him, and he gave double buffs off that play. So like, I don't think you could give either of the people player of the game when they have like those like catastrophes, so to speak, because if you're on a worse team and you make a play like that and you no longer have control of your own position, like normally the team is going to like collapse. But I mean, when you have such a good team where everyone's like has each other's back and everything, and people are just stepping up, like if you just have a mistake, somebody else steps up and like carries the next play, etc. It's so much easier to like come back from it. So I think that it's completely fine to give it to Jizuke there. I mean, he gets like, obviously like he gets like pretty easy setup for the situations that he was in. Like Kuma really set him up to pop off. But I mean, his TF game, I mean, he had like fucking 25 stack Magi or some shit in that game fairly early on. It was like 10-0 in like both games or something ridiculous. His quirky game, he had the early death dance, like whenever he's doing a fuck ton of damage. Like I feel like you just have to give it to Jizuke there because he's carrying so hard.
I thought it was a little petty from Jack. I'm like, Jack, you're winning so much. Like, you're probably going to win this split too. Why do you even care about player of the week? Like, if I'm winning that much, if I'm the C9 ownership, like, this isn't even on my mind. Like, this is a blip in the fucking radar. Like, what is this shit?
Yeah. I don't know.
They need more statues. They need more MasterCard Player of the Week statues. That'll be mailed to them in interviews before the week starts, right, on Saturday. This week it went to Santorin, right? So FlyQuest going 2-0 as well. Santorin getting the Player of the Week award. No Vulcan, no Niski, no... I would say Vulcan and Niski are two that I think were names that I saw pop up without being defended against, right? I mean,
I don't even think that that's like that. Yeah, I wouldn't even give it to either of them this week to begin with either. I mean, I think that Vulcan and Sven, this is the first time they ever got Sven got caught when he went to ward, right? Which impacts his lane. So his lane was not like in a good state or anything like that. And then he had like the questionable flash hold under turret where C9 ended up winning the play, but I don't think it was specifically well played by Vulcan. Like he went for the Ezreal that has shift up and then he just dies for it and has to use the stopwatch. I don't know. It just seems like they didn't have specifically good weeks. Like, yeah, they're the best team, but like one of them needs to play like at another level. Whereas like in FlyQuest, like I thought Santorin pretty much had flawless Trundle games. Like I don't think he made a mistake in either of the Trundle games I saw. So it makes sense that he gets Player of the Week when his team is winning. It's one of the better teams in the league, and then he is a standout performer on those teams. I think that's completely okay.
I think when we look back at the summer split season, more than half of the Player of the Weeks are going to go to Cloud9 players. Like it's going to happen. It just hasn't happened yet, right?
I think when we look back on the summer season, no one's gonna give a fuck about Player of the Week. Like, dude, Jack, you're like winning in so many different like games. Like, why do you care? Like, this is so weird. I think Jack and Steve are the best owners, and they're the best owners because they're the most mature and they make the best decisions. This is just such a weird tweet from Jack, in my opinion.
All right.
Well, I just think I don't really mind him saying it, but I just don't think it's correct based on like what I've seen. Like I watched all the games. I didn't think that that Cloud9 players were having like so for example, right? Blabber had an insane first game, this game, and then the second game he played like shit, right? So he's not going to get Player of the Week. It's weird to give it to Vulcan when he's having like one of the worst weeks he's had. I don't know. I mean,
Licorice got solo killed by Kumo.
Licorice got solo killed by Kumo. And like Niski did all right, but I don't think he did anything special this week. Like I don't think he was just like absurdly popping off. So it's so hard for me to say that like any of them deserve Player of the Week. Like who would you give Player of the Week to? You can't give it to Sven. Sven is the one that got like there's two of your players got solo killed. Blabber got caught a fucking bunch. Niski was just like existing. I mean, he was down CS in lane. Like Vulcan,
he's always part of CS in lane.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just not something that I would say that, like they deserve it this week.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. next week in the matches, as well as who will be the player of the week, and we'll cover it all afterwards. Guys, we hit almost everything. Was there anything else that caught your eye that you wanted to touch on before we close it out today?
And we didn't talk about 100 Thieves, but they've been so irrelevant as a team. Like, it's actually, they just disappeared. They're one of the teams that were like kind of relevant in spring, and like in summer, they're just gone. Like, they're nowhere to be found.
I mean, I've just never thought the team was that good. Like I have this like theory where if you have like a weak mid jungle, your team will never end up like being a contender. Like you just need to have a strong mid jungle to be able to like do that, and like that's the same reason why I've always been shitting on the two teams of
Immortals
and 100 Thieves, because I think that they both have like really weak mid jungle. Like Ryoma and Meteos just don't seem scary at all, and Meteos looks like pretty weird the split. I feel like he's been making a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, he looks
really off. So
and when things go wrong, it feels like they capitulate themselves, and he's looking like what'd you say, stunt Nautilus? It looks like Meteos Olaf, and he's just going the wrong direction.
Yeah, so I mean, I just don't have like I just don't have much faith in this team. Even when they were third in like last split, I still predicted them to lose to TSM, etc. Like even though they're supposed to be like third versus fifth, they're supposed to have an advantage. Just don't think the team is good.
Yeah, I think that's like everything.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking on the 100 Thieves because, and you know, this is a stretch, and I don't think it fixes their problems to get them over the hump and as a championship caliber squad, but it is an upgrade. I think it's an upgrade. Golden Glue had a good week on the desk, still available and will be available up until the trade deadline. So, but yeah, I think with that move there, with Golden Glue being out on the market. Maybe something to look into, the him or Soy Luigi.
Oh, Jesus. Maybe.
All right. With that, week 2 in the books. Week 3 will be here, 9 o'clock on Monday, or 9-ish on Monday next week. We'll catch you guys later.